If there is one place you absolutely need to visit on your trip to Vietnam, it's Ha Long Bay on land, also known as Ninh Binh. In this video, I share a 2-day itinerary where we explore UNESCO World Heritage Sites, visit the oldest national park in Vietnam, meet rescued primates, and float along a river through caves. Ninh Binh is around 3 hours drive out of Hanoi, but it is well worth visiting on your trip to Vietnam. The first stop on our explorations around the beautiful area was Cuc Phuong National Park, which is the oldest national park in Vietnam. It's completely beautiful, almost untouched wilderness, with butterflies and animals everywhere you go. You do have to buy a ticket to go in, but once you're inside, there is plenty to explore. The first place we went to was an ancient tree, which was absolutely immense and gave us the chance to walk through the forest and experience the biodiversity and different climate there. It was really challenging walking in the hot weather, but we cooled down afterwards when we went to visit the cave of prehistoric man. This incredible cave was used as a shelter over 7,500 years ago, which is pretty crazy to think about. We explored a variety of different chambers and even turned off all our lights just to absorb the pure pitch black darkness, which for some people would be horrible, but for me was a very enjoyable experience. Near the entrance of the national park, there is a primate rescue centre and breeding program where they house over 24 different species of primates. They even have a section where primates are free to go back into the wild but can also return to the safety of the centre if they choose to. They've had over 200 primates born there, most of which are critically endangered, and they're also a not-for-profit organisation, so it's really cool to see the degree of success that they've had. All of the monkeys were really cheeky, and I absolutely love seeing the different names they've given each of them. It was a really cool experience and something a little bit different to a lot of the other things I did on my trip around Vietnam. Obviously all of that made for a pretty big day, so we just went back to our hotel and rested up before heading the next morning to the Lying Dragon Mountain, which is a UNESCO heritage site. You have to walk up a lot of stairs to get to the top, but the view and the dragon monument, which was built in the 16th century AD, are absolutely worth it. pretty incredible place to be able to go visit, and we were also lucky enough to run into a bunch of people in traditional Vietnamese clothing as well. Something I've noticed as I've been travelling Vietnam is that there are a lot of people in traditional clothing taking photos or similar all over the place, and even though I do wonder if it's a bit of a self-indulgent thing, it is really cool as a tourist to be able to see people in these traditional garments. After spending quite a while taking in the incredible views, we went back down to the bottom to enjoy the lovely Lotus Lake, where there's a variety of walkways around hundreds of lotuses in different stages of blossom. It was absolutely gorgeous and would definitely make for a great photo on Instagram. We then drove a short distance to a nearby village and rented some bicycles to go and have a look and see what the local life was like. We visited a temple, saw people fishing and enjoyed the scenery as we cruised around on wheels. We then had a quick lunch, and if you need to know anything about food in Vietnam, it's that the spring rolls are pretty much always the best option on the table. We then headed for a slow boat trip along the river. Unfortunately, even on the water, you can't escape people trying to sell you things, so there are people on little boats with cameras trying to sell you a photograph of yourself. I don't know how they would get it to you, but I thought it was an interesting and very lucrative business choice that probably isn't that successful. However, once we'd passed the photo boats, I had a great time looking up at the majestic mountains, including the Dragon Mountain that we'd visited earlier. We ended up passing through 3 different caves, and as we just travelled along, it was very relaxing, so I honestly almost felt like falling asleep. It was a wonderful experience. It was really calming and just so magical to be able to look up at those cliff faces. I think that how we spent our time in Ninh Binh was a really good way to do everything, and I would definitely recommend this sort of itinerary if you're planning on going there. In next week's video, I'm visiting the Ninh Binh of the Sea, aka Ha Long Bay, where I go on an overnight cruise, so I hope you'll tune in for that one. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.